Hola, yo soy un periodista. ¿Cómo te llamas?
Hi, is there a reason why you're asking me?
Sí, te quiero entrevistar para mi programa de televisión.
Why me specifically?
Ay, ¿por qué no? Chica, eres una mujer trans.
There are a lot of trans women in the city. What makes me so special?
Lo especial es que estás enfrente de mí, nena.
Sounds lazy. What is the story about?
¿Cómo? ¿Yo soy perezoso? Yo estoy aquí laborando, trabajando. ¿Qué? ¿Eres una racista? ¿Que eres la Carla Sofía Garzón?
No way, no way. Look, interviewing the first trans person you see sounds lazy no matter what. Also, you didn't answer my original question.
Mi historia es sobre una gata muy peligrosa y muy malvada.
You want to interview me about a cat? What does that have to do with me being trans?
Pues es tu gata, la Nomi.
You could have said that in the first place.
Pues muévete, es una distracción. En realidad tengo que hablar con la princesa. Quiero entrevistar a la Nomi.
This is journalistic malpractice.
La gata malvada. Ella me mordió a la verga. Young Winona, like, is so out of this world, like, curvy.
Uh-huh.
Where, like, every time she was on screen, I was just like, yo, is it all right if I keep my eyes down here?
Yeah, it's like when she loves the attention. So I think I'm definitely attracted to like sexy people who are horny and want you to be horny for them.
Her, like, introduction, like, leaving the car for the first time. It's like she's this, like, magical figure that, like, just appeared. And everyone else was around just kind of, like, thrashing the reporters. And she just comes in like a bolt of lightning. And I was just like, actually, I'm hot. I'm horny. I get money. And you need to not just look at me, you need to look at me for the next couple of years.
Yeah, definitely. And like initially, she doesn't really want the fame necessarily. It's the piranha who tells her, yes, you do want to be on TV. But yeah, she always has that sparkle in her eye. And of course, you know, this is a TV show that is heightening the the iconography of La Veneno. It like at the very beginning you get like this message about like stories and how every story is gonna have some reality, some artifice in it. So this is like elevating her. But the thing is, like, she was already elevated. She was already such an icon in Spain. So it's not like the show had to do that much in order to like make her. She already sparkled and jumped out of the screen IRL.
And if her, like, fictionalization is that she, like, only got hotter. I think that's a fictionalization that we can all agree was acceptable and actually admirable. Because I think that both of us could say, like, in our, like, mythologization of our stories, we're just gonna say around the age 30 we just got hotter and hotter.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think it's like once I started taking HRT, it's like the hotness went off the charts, and you know they haven't ever dropped down. So,
and when I started taking TRT, same thing with me. I just bulked up. My chest got bigger.
There's gonna be people who are like, "Wait, is the other co-host trans mask?
TRT parentheses toxic masculine.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you haven't necessarily dispelled the notion, but yeah, you're
Hey, when you got it like me, you keep it.
So we are talking about La Veneno. We were talking about Veneno, a limited series that premiered in Spain in 2020. It premiered on A3 Player Premium, and then it came to HBO Max internationally. And it tells the story of iconic trans woman Christina La Veneno. And it tells the story of Valeria Vegas, the young trans woman who met La Veneno. And while discovering her transness, she eventually writes a book about Veneno. So you get like a lot of different jumping around through time. You know, you get to see Veneno from birth until death, and you get to see Valeria's journey throughout all that, and you're jumping back and forth between multiple timelines.
Literally 60 years.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what did you think of this show?
I was battered by it. I did not want to watch it. I was 2 episodes in and thinking, should I tell Marcy that I failed, I struggled, I dropped to my knees, I prayed to God for a lightning bolt, and that lightning bolt never arrived. So I did what any good old person trying to ignore the thing that they should do and play video games. And I did not. I struggled through it. I have a lot of thoughts on it. I have a lot of emotions on it. This was slammed into my lap in like a 2.5 week stretch of time where I have been consuming a lot of trans media. Mm-hmm. I've been also consuming a lot of atrocious news stories.
Yep.
And I have also been dealing with with some facts that might complicate my life in the future to come.
Uh-huh.
And all of that is to say, sometimes it's la venena, sometimes it's el veneno.
Yeah.
Pero me lo trago, hermana. Me lo trago. El hocico está lleno.
Yeah, I definitely like this show more than you, but I did struggle with it more than I thought I would. Overall, like I really enjoy watching a lot of the characters, and I was intrigued by like the storytelling, but a lot of it was pretty depressing. And there was like, you know, there were times where like I stopped in the middle of the episode and I was like, I'll pick this up tomorrow. Like I you know, the one of the shows we also covered recently, Vida, which is like also a queer story about, you know, it's like both. Well, Vida is like more geared towards American audiences because it's primarily in English, but both have Spanish in them. So I'm trying to make connections. Vida was a much easier watch for me. I think.
A million times.
Yeah.
Easier. I mean, not to say what is easy for you. You know what? I will say that. Yeah, it's easier.
Yeah. And you know, I think it's important not to just watch shows that like make you feel good, but at the same time, like I do wish this show. Look, I have a problem. I have a problem with a lot of TV shows in the last decade that have episode lengths that are longer than they should be. And I think this was the case for some of the Veneno episodes. Just because you can have an hour-long episode doesn't mean you should. And I think a lot of people are like, well, we have the freedom to do whatever we want. You know, we don't have to have commercials. So that means that we can just do whatever's best for the story. But sometimes you aren't doing what's best for the story. So I think that was part of why I like struggled with it a little bit. But I think there were like enough moments that I really liked that I'll also recommend this show to people with some caveats. Like there's definitely like moments of uplifting. Like I think of the Christmas scene in near the end where you get to see the small community come together. So yeah, I didn't like it quite as much as I expected, but yeah, we'll have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, it's definitely like I think you should watch it for. I think it is good TV. I think in the time of slop, this is good TV, and you should watch it if you're just someone who likes to watch TV. The kind of themes and the overarching, sentiment that's shared, I think that's its own thing. I think if you don't really want to spend too much time wrapping your head around it, that's fine, because this is a very dynamic show, very technically interesting, interesting set pieces, a lot of changes in technique throughout it, and the characters. I would say most of the characters are fun. If you're a big character watcher, like Christina La Veneno is definitely a fun character to see throughout the entirety of her life.
Yeah, and I think it was fun to. Well, yeah. One thing I appreciate is that they use like all trans performers for trans characters, and they use multiple actors for Veneno and a few other characters as they age, because you get to see Veneno, you get to see like there's like a birth scene, and then pretty soon you get to see Veneno as a little kid. You get to see her entire family, and you have like an episode or so that's mostly like in that time where she's a little kid, and then you get to see her grow. Some of the time, like some of the choices of like when they switch actors took me out of it a little bit. Like when they switched from like the sexy Veneno to old Veneno, I was like, oh, okay, we're doing that now. But
Yeah.
yeah, I Veneno's like a fun character to watch, because like she finds multiple ways to be sexy throughout the series, like kind of like in her teenage years. Like like everyone already has her eye on her, and like she's basically presenting as a gay man at that point. And yeah, she's already being harangued by her terrible mother about being queer.
Not just harangue. There's
I was like trying to think of the right word, and I was like, harangue is what comes to my mouth, so I'm just gonna say it.
a real beatdown at a certain point, like bringing out a cane to beat young young La Veneno with. La Veneno goes through a lot of different names, and at this time, technically, she was going by the name Joselito. Which is like, this is kind of the first thing out of a lot of a lot of this show, which is it's coming from a place of trans acceptance. So like even saying that name isn't exactly like dead naming, because she herself goes through this whole presentation of her life being someone that like takes up names, and uses different names here and there. It's a very complex identity, because she herself had a very complex identity.
Yeah, it's always tricky talking about trans stories, because like that name is like a big part of the show. Of course, her family never stops calling her that, with like a few exceptions at the end. And yeah, I think it's worth noting, I probably won't say that name during the podcast. But yeah, like I mean, I think that's pretty common in trans stories. Like it even happens with, like sometimes you get named by someone as Valeria did. Sometimes you try to name yourself, and then it's just like, well, that doesn't really work. So yeah, it's
The show also presents the moniker La Veneno as something that was given to her or imposed on her, a name that like honestly like describes her negatively sometimes. Even Christina was something that a name that was added to her. It's so interesting. It really is like a show that is dealing with like the real life of someone, so it's not like so narratively like pleasing or easy to navigate.
Yeah. Well, I know that your thoughts on Valeria aren't as glowing as Veneno. So tell me your thoughts about her.
Oh yeah, I mean, I the show started. The first half of the show was kind of like Valeria being a little bit of a audience surrogate to kind of be the bridge in between who is Christina and her background. And as a character, I'm just kind of like, I wasn't like super motivated to like learn about her or like kind of see her do her thing, just because in comparison, Christina's so much more interesting to see, and a lot of the other characters are more interesting to see. At the end of the day, like Valeria's a nerd taking some interviews and writing things. So in the first half of the show, some of her action shots are her just listening to an audio tape.
I mean, I think I just relate to her more. Trans girl who is kind of trying to become a writer. I don't quite relate to how big her boobs are. She got like big boobs like really quickly. It was like beginning of episode 3. Oh, she has big boobs now. Like she literally came out to her mom, and then the next thing you see is like her with
cannons.
Yeah,
just
her with her mom.
40mm cannon.
Yeah, and I was like, damn, how did that happen so fast? And then like immediately, the doctor is like, okay, how about bottom surgery in 1.5 months? And of course, like she isn't sure if she even wants that yet. But I was like, damn, is that how easy it is in Spain? Of course, like she did do. Well, she did laser, so like maybe like by that point. But yeah, I mean, look, the math wasn't exactly mathing because like at least for me, okay. Yeah, I mean, look, you needed a year of electrolysis before you do bottom surgery. And this is like
now when you got that Spanish shit. Now when you got that el láser.
She's like in the same class, so we know a year hasn't passed. But yeah, at a certain point, it's like, okay, you know what? Let's just let them get away with a few shortcuts here. But yeah, I think I liked her more than you, but I think you're right that like Veneno is a more interesting character, and the show knows that. The show is mostly using Valeria as like a way into the story. But
she's an exposition machine. Like not that's not a bad thing per se. It just so happens to be that the first 4 episodes, which were the like 4 episodes that I gave my heart to the show before it was like thrown into the recycling, which is nice of them. It just wasn't. She just was not super interested.
I do think that part of it is the show is because Veneno leads an often tragic life. It wants to show kind of like a less rocky story for a trans person. Of course, like, Valeria does go through obstacles, but like her story is less tragic than Christina's,
which is very nice.
Yeah,
absolutely. It acts as a foil to make Christina's like tragedy like harder, because Valeria's like dealing with it emotionally too. She's also being like skeptical of Christina a lot too. But before we started recording, we talked a little bit about how it's just kind of like a lot of pain in this show. So having Valeria not go through that pain and actually have like a supportive partner.
Yeah.
Nice.
One of the few men on the show who isn't a complete piece of shit.
Present company. What's that? Present company what?
I said on the show. You're on this show. You're not on that show. Unless you made a cameo. Like, I'm pretty sure you didn't fly to Spain. You're like, I don't want to go to Spain. We'll get to your hatred of Spain later.
They were like, oye, tío, no eres de aquí, hermano. Not even a Spanish accent.
But we should also touch on the third main character in this show, Paca la Piraña. So she is like the friend of Christina for most of the show. Eventually becomes an enemy. Enemy is a strong word. They become estranged. But she is, and she also she's playing herself, which is always fun.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. Maybe that'll change your perspective on some things.
Whoa. No.
Well, okay. One thing I did like about that is that, like, in the show, like, she gets written out of the book that Valeria writes about Christina. So I kind of like that this is another way of telling the story where she's not written out. We kind of get to see the messiness that happens in their relationship, instead of it just being like, okay, well, we'll mention that Christina went to her place after this bad thing happened, but otherwise you're not going to hear about her in the book. Yeah, and I'm not sure if like if the real Valeria, because this is based on a real story. Like, the book was actually created, so the author is real. The author is not dead in this case. I'm not sure if like she did a follow up to the book, kind of putting more of La Piraña in there, because I think that's part of it, is that like Veneno's story couldn't be fully written until after she died, and the book the book came out pretty soon before she died. So I do see this TV show as like necessary, and it's not just like a straight up adaptation of the book, which I appreciate.
Yeah, it really shows that like all history is like a negotiation in between points of view. And later in the season, Piranha's like, oh, if there's a follow-up, please write me. If there's an article, please write me in. Yeah,
please write a story where we reconnect and become friends again before she dies.
And that is like hard.
Yeah.
Because whether or not that is exactly what happened, it really shows that no matter the medium, no matter the preciseness, there will always be a sense that an angle is missing. Or things need to be cut out. And I think a show like this, and anything that might come along this way, adaptations, help provide another step in that negotiation to say that, maybe La Piraña should have been part of it. Should have been there further more, especially because they were living together for a little bit.
Yeah. And I think stories where like really close friends have a falling out, like, I think those definitely like have emotional impact on me. So yeah, we're just spoiling it. I mean, we're spoiling real life events, and also like fantasies based on real life events that didn't actually happen.
Spoiler alert, they're Spanish. Spoiler alert, it takes place in Madrid, in Barcelona.
Like
La lluvia en España cae muy.
One of the final scenes is this fantasy of the funeral of La Veneno, where everyone who was important to her, except for that shitty Italian guy, which we'll get to, they all get to show up in the park where she, she did her little thing. Basically, they all show up. Her brother spreads the remains in the park, and even Paella La Piraña shows up at the last minute. And yeah, my eyes were getting a little bit misty at that point. So yeah, I think the Paella La Piraña was definitely like, I think she made the show better.
Yeah, Manola. She was there from the beginning. She had her own story, and it provided this real sense that, like, people in our individual lives, they exist. They fully exist. They fully provide something to all of us. And in that final scene, that kind of near final scene of this fantasized, like, ash spreading ceremony where Valeria kind of gives this, like, larger monologue of, like, everyone that touched her La Venena's life came in to pay some respect. Like, that to me, I did not start tearing up, but it hit me in this way where I was just like, what is the point of waiting till the end to care, to love, to provide the real, sincere experience and adoration to those around you?
Yeah. Well, I think it goes to that saying of, like, we deserve our roses while we're still here. And yeah, it's definitely, I mean, it's sad that had to be a fantasy and that couldn't happen. I mean, there was no way that, unfortunately, that La Veneno's mother was going to, like, be okay with having a ceremony that actually honored her for who she was. Yeah, I like how she kind of disappears from the show for a while, and then she comes back with, like, super gray hair, and it's like, yeah, she's not good. I mean, and as portrayed in the show, she's, like, part of the reason why La Veneno died, because, like, La Veneno had the initial, it's like, it's a little bit ambiguous in the show, like the accident or the fall, whatever it was, and then she's in the hospital for a while, and it's when the family all comes and her mom is, like, dead naming her and, like, not talking to her in a way that, like, a trans person wants to be talked to. That's when, like, he goes beep 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 beep. So, like, kind of like the way, and then, like, family members are yelling, "You killed her! You killed her!" So yeah, it's like, as portrayed in the show, like, her mom's kind of the reason why she dies.
And that is like one of the many things where I'm just like, okay, it's a real story, and yeah, real people are shitty and complex, and I just did not want to see that, though. I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to experience even the fictionalized version of a mother hating their own child, just because I am just living in a time where it feels like a lot of parents hate their own children. Not my own. My parents love me.
Oh, I thought you were gonna be like, not my own. I love my children.
Yeah, my children. I love my children too. I'm gonna eat them later. I'm growing some corn right now, so mis hijos de maíz, and I've had conversations with a lot of people about some of their, like, shitty parents, and, like, I've had some of those conversations in the last couple of, like, weeks too, and I couldn't help but just feel like I don't need this in my life. I don't need it, and I don't need to be reminded that, like, people are imperfect, parents are imperfect, children are imperfect. Like, I spent some time this year tutoring children, where I saw a lot of children be cared for as best as they could be by their parents, but I would still say that clearly it was not enough. And all I could think of is that was the first time I've like tutored children in a very long time, and I just was not into it. It just hurt me. So much of the show and so much of like the familial strife hurt so much because I think we live in a time where even at the like microscopic, the nucleus of society, which is like yourself and the people around you, like your literal like relations. Sometimes that's family, sometimes that's friends, sometimes that's found family. Like to see that strife, I just kind of don't want to see that right now. I want to watch some sappy shit in which people care for each other.
You want to watch Ted Lasso?
Yeah.
I think this is like we have one of the kind of central like contradictions that trans and queer media has to resolve of like are like a lot of trans and queer lives are really depressing and we go through a lot of trauma. And sometimes we don't want to see that reflected on our TVs because we're like, I get enough of this in my real life, in the real life of the people I know. I don't want to see this. But then it's like, you know, we can't go total fantasy land because then that wouldn't be true to our lives. But I think this is why a lot of trans and queer people are like, we don't want just stories that wallow in trauma. And we don't just want stories where we die at the end. And to this show's credit, that's not all this show is. There are many moments of joy.
Moments.
Yeah,
like one of them is that you mentioned when Valeria like grew her knockers, and the doctor was like, "Well, you know, time to get that old snip."
there are the time where La Veneno tries. Okay, content warning, suicide. When La Veneno like slits her wrists, and then La Piraña is like, you could have cut your neck off, but instead you cut your wrists. That was like perfect dark humor. Yeah,
and yeah, like the sweetness in that like scene at the doctor, where Valeria's mom was just like, you do this at your pace. Mm-hmm. You do it how you want to. No one can tell you otherwise. I was just like, that's so sweet. That's so sweet. I've been to so many protests this year in support of trans people, and I see these supportive parents of their trans kids. They might be trans themselves. I don't know. But I see them just with their like little genderqueer kid. And I'm just like, it's so sweet. It's so sweet that there's like, we have progressed as a society to have this support system, be as frequent or normalized as any other, and it's nice that like the show shows that too, presents that too. I just wish it was a lot more. I just wish it was a lot more.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, the question is like, when is the right time to watch this show? Because unfortunately, I don't know if there's going to be a time when like shitty things aren't happening to trans people, to immigrants, to pretty much everyone you care about in this country. But yeah, it does feel like this show came at you at a time when you really needed something else. You needed season 2 of Vita, maybe. which my girlfriend and I are watching right now.
I think some of the other like sweetness that like came about in a weird way, in a way where I'm like, okay, this is clearly presenting a different like style of community, style of like existence, was in the later half of the season, when Christina was starting to like hang out at West Park. Like she got multiple pep talks on how to be a good prostitute. And like she went through like a training day for park prostitution, and I'm like, fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. That's community care, baby. That's community care, sister. Yeah, get your money up.
Yeah.
Yeah, fight those Nazis.
Yeah, so there's a very, because basically when she initially gets to the park, like the head bitch in charge with her amazing tits out is like, we don't need you here. And then basically in order to kind of win her place into the park, she gets big boobs and she bites the nipple of this other trans woman
In a incredibly strange sequence. I describe this like her getting her big tits as almost like a power up. Like she got a power up. She literally went out into the park, started the Engekai, beat the fuck out of this bully, and said, "I make money now. I make money moves."
Yeah, this sequence I think is one of the more fantastical in the series, and partially it's because there's like a lot of just talk about, are the stories she's telling real? Did she actually bite someone's tit? There's like multiple scenes where she's either like going through a lie detector test or on TV and being like demanded to tell the truth about things. And I accepted this sequence as like, okay, it's it's gonna be a little bit ridiculous. Like she's gonna immediately come to the park with her sickle and like maybe kill some Nazis and bite this titty. I mean, who doesn't want to bite a titty? So more power to her.
Show your hands if you don't want to bite a titty. I'm looking at the room. There are no hands up.
Exactly.
You bring up TV, and TV is a big part of this.
Yes.
Not just any TV though. Tabloid.
Yeah.
Talk shows.
Uh-huh.
Do you have any history with that?
Not really. I mean, does like Maury count as yeah, well, a little bit then. Yeah, I mean, there were a couple summers where I worked on a farm and we would like have daytime TV on and like Maury would come on, and that was like basically the only time I kind of watched that. I think watched a little bit of Jerry too. But yeah, not like the type. I mean, I never saw like a show that just had like trans people being awesome on TV, which is kind of what we get a little bit, where they're like, yeah, we need to like make her a regular on our show. But she made our ratings bump up. The first episode is interesting. I feel like it's a little bit different than the other ones, partially because like Veneno isn't really the main character of that episode. You get this like other reporter who is coming off of like maternity leave early. I was kind of expecting more of her throughout the show, but I think it kind of makes sense. They kind of wanted like a cis woman Trojan horse to get more people to watch it. And you kind of see like the in and outs of this TV show. You have like the younger woman who, she's sleeping her way to the top. And you have like you have Pepe, the kind of like the head guy. And yeah, you return, because this TV show was like a big part of her life, and kind of like when this TV show went under is like when her life started going downhill. And what, it didn't go, the TV show didn't end because of her. Like apparently it ended because of like some scandal. Well, I was like reading about it, and it's like this like scandal happened and they were reporting on it, and then like people in politics kind of like put the shutter on the show. Kind of like how Trump is trying to like
how he successfully like neutered 60 Minutes.
Yeah, exactly. But they just like got rid of the show entirely. So yeah, I did find some of those aspects interesting.
You know, I ask you because as a Chicagoan, of course, I watched Jerry Springer. Rest in piss. He's a real piece of shit. I'm glad. I mean, I don't wish death upon people, but
he's not a person. He's a demon.
Steve Wilkos also, same thing.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of his show at the farm too.
Real exploitative shit. Like I've never seen Karamo, but I know that Karamo like follows the same kind of like general. Hey, we have a regular ass person. How about we just air a bunch of dirty laundry here? It's like Dr. Phil also. But as a Mexican, there was I watched this exact same type of show in Spanish. Like this, I never watched Mississippi, but I watched shows like it. One of them is called Laura. This is not a show that I would expect you to watch, but like it's just this show that started in the 90s by a Peruvian woman, not even Mexican, named Laura Bozos. Bozos? Bozzo. Bozozo. And it's the exact type of thing that you were seeing. Like an older show like Oprah or like Geraldo Rivera's like tabloid show as well, where it's just like we're just getting random ass people to talk about their stuff. So I want to give you some of the. I want to play a game with you.
Okay.
So I have collected a couple of premises of the show Laura, and you have to tell me if it's real or if I made it up.
Okay, I like this.
So I'm going to say it in Spanish and I'm going to say it in English, okay? Because these were all in Spanish. Me quiero morir. Mi hija está con un cholo. I want to die. My son is with an Indian.
Real.
That is real. Tengo dos novios. Y no sé cuál elegir. I have two boyfriends, and I don't know which one to choose.
Real.
That is real. No es mi hijo, es mi pareja. He isn't my son. He's my partner.
Oh God, I want to say fake.
You want to say fake?
Yeah.
But you have to say it's real.
Are these all real?
Well, okay. Well, I mean, okay. Well, listen to maybe this one. Mi madre me vendió a los 12 años. My mother sold me at 12 years old.
I was going to say real until there's a fake one. Real.
It is real. All of those are real.
Okay. 75%.
It's what all of them are real, and it is that level of like silly exploitative bullshit. There was a couple of other ones. So it's like a girl, like a teen girl, was brought onto like national television to just say, "Hey, a lot of people think I'm ugly," and I'm like, "What the fuck are you doing, Laura?"
Yeah. I am getting some memories of like seeing Dr. Phil now where like they would like bring someone on who's having a lot of problems and then they bring on their family and then it's just their family yelling at the person for like an hour. Pretty miserable stuff. Yeah.
And this show, Mississippi, is honestly part of the exact same. Like tabloid television bullshit where it's just purely exploitative. And it can honestly only really happen in a capitalist world where like you need to crank up more and more and more the sensationalist knob because you can't just make another Popeye.
Yeah.
You can't just make another Casablanca. You have to make more shit.
Yeah. And it definitely portrays the sensationalism of it all in the first episode where, it's like the new ingenue is just going to get like a story about like two lesbians getting married. And for some reason, that's like going to be a big story.
Which is like, tell me the story of legalizing gay divorce, okay? Like, two women get married. Rain at 6. Who cares?
And it's kind of this thing where, like, at first, La Veneno showing up on TV, it's like a good thing. It makes her famous, and it's going to change her career prospects. But then it's like the next episode, they're like, we want to bring your parents on. And we basically just want them to like dead name you and misgender you the entire time.
They want to fight.
Yeah.
They want to fight like literally how Oprah used to like run her show back in the 90s, back in the 80s. Just this atrocious shit. Mm-hmm. These types of shows, they really created a runway for a certain type of modern condition that is worse than any of those shows, which is YouTubers or TikTokers going to find people out in the street that are having very big difficulties and then just broadcast that out. I have seen real TikTokers make a living of just finding alcoholics and then giving them alcohol and then just recording their existence, their crash outs, their vulgarity, and then literally pissing themselves for views. And it is this. It's not enough to just say these are bad. It's that these types of shows, and Mississippi is included in this. Howard Stern is included in this. Make the difficulty of the common man a form of entertainment that is reproduced so much in the modern era by fools and idiots, and just makes it incredibly more exploitative. So, like, I didn't want to see this show, honestly, for a lot of different reasons. But the fact that the first episode just reminded me of all of this exploitative bullshit, I was just like, I don't want to see this. And that was before all the trans like tragedy stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, luckily I've like avoided most of these TikToks and YouTubes. My TikTok feed is mostly just cats, queer ultimatum, discourse, and just like a bunch of lesbian shit.
I'm jealous.
Yeah.
I am not a lesbian, so my TikTok knows very well. Don't show me that Subaru. I don't care about that review.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is interesting that like the reason why the actual show ended is because they're doing good journalism. But yeah, basically like what happens is she gets a black eye from this fucking Italian idiot. And like the producer of the show is like, we don't want you, she lies to protect her Italian boyfriend, husband, whatever he is. And she's like, oh yeah, I just like fell at the park. And then the producer's like, oh, well, you can't work there anymore if you're going to also be on TV. And she's like, well, you're going to pay me the same? You're going to pay me the millions of dollars I get from being a sex worker? And then he's like, okay, I see where you're at. We'll call you. And then he just never calls her. And they bring on like a younger trans woman. They love to do that on the show. Just like bring in the show, I mean Mississippi. Bring on like a younger woman to replace the more experienced woman.
And it just shows that it's not about the individual. It's about the image that can be exploited for this general audience to gawk at and to laugh and rollick about in their transphobia.
Yeah, which is like why it's an interesting contradiction that without this show, La Veneno may never have become famous. She may have just continued to be another trans sex worker trying to make a living that way. So yeah, I don't know. An alternate universe where Mississippi didn't exist.
I don't know if that's a contradiction. We are pro sex work, right?
Yeah.
Like what we want out of sex work is for them to have healthcare, for them to have like unions, for them to have safety, and for the rejection of clients, safely. Right? That is not the current state of sex work, and it was not in the 90s either, and not in Spain. Like the people that were going to contract those sex workers were doing the exact same shit that the hosts and producers were doing, which was using these women as a literally cum rag. And I don't know if it's a contradiction. Like clearly La Veneno has talent. Even from the very beginning, she has talent. But she was forced into a life where other people used her and exploited her because she was literally fired from a hospital because they didn't accept who she was. So I don't know if it's a contradiction as much as a reiteration of under capital, there will always be people exploiting labor, no matter what that is.
Yeah, in a sense, she never was able to achieve the stability she needed, even when she was making a ton of money. And like by the end of the show, partially because of this fucking Italian guy, she's like broke. Okay, I'm gonna take a second just to like rant about this Italian guy. Like he exploited her in every way he could. He knew that she couldn't read, and then he gave her like this insurance paper, had her sign it without letting her know what it was, and then he burned down their house and blamed it on her. Called the police and said that she was the one who did it, and she went to jail. He is like one of the worst people in TV history.
He's a fucker.
Yeah.
He's a real piece of shit.
Yeah. So I hated him. That was like one of the things where I was like, oh, I like it. There's like so many moments that are harder to watch, and a lot of those like are in the prison. Like, it's an accurate depiction of what happened in the prison. So yeah, she's threatened. I mean, she's sexually assaulted in the prison.
I was skipping through a lot of that shit.
Uh-huh.
I just didn't. I didn't need to see it.
Yeah, that was like the moment where I just turned off the TV and I was like, I gotta return to the next day. And yeah, I think, yeah, because basically, she's like forced to be in a men's prison, and she does find a sweet man to be her partner, but then of course, because he's the one protecting her, the mafioso of the prison is like, no, this can't happen, and then he makes moves to move the boyfriend to like out of their area, and she doesn't get to see him again, and then she's not protected anymore, and yeah, it's pretty sad stuff.
Yeah, and she was 39, in her late 30s when she was sent to prison in the early 2000s. And she was in there for, I think, a little bit over 2.5 years, almost 3 years. Pretty much at 2006 when Valeria starts to get to know Christina. That is kind of when she got out of prison. And in all of that, all I could think of is, well, I was thinking a lot of different things. But I was thinking about the modern day, about how there's all this legislation, all these executive orders about where trans people will be detained. Because that's the time we live in. We don't live in a time where can trans people have fun and enjoy themselves, and what are the economic benefits of all of that? No, the government's too busy thinking about how can we immiserate trans people even more. So one of the reasons why I didn't want to watch it is just this is already happening. It was happening before, yeah. But now it's so blatant that the most powerful people on earth are just making decisions about how to immiserate trans people in prison, and they do it gleefully.
Yeah, and I think that's like one of the things about living as a trans person in 2025. If I stop to focus on what's happening for too long, it will just like not be healthy for me. And like I feel bad for like the trans journalists, the trans people who are like on the front lines for this, who are constantly having to deal with this, because like I have some privilege in that I have like a computer job where I can just think about numbers for most of the day and watch Veneno during time theft times. But yeah, it's like I don't think we're ready for Hopecast yet, but I think we're going to get through this. That's what I'll say. We're going to get through this. We're going to build a better tomorrow, and yeah, maybe this is just proof that we need to watch more stories about trans and queer joy, because those definitely exist, and. Sometimes it can feel a little bit corny, when people are just like, yeah, queer joy is going to save us. Well, unfortunately, we're not. It's going to take a while to save us. We're not going to just magically save ourselves by
voting.
By that either. Yeah, unfortunately, we live in a time where the path to saving ourselves is not entirely clear. Like, what things we need to do, going and doing tenants organizing and labor organizing and building community and all these things. Like, yes, that we are building towards the life that we actually want to live. But at the same time, the powers of capital, the powers of fascism are getting stronger every day, and it fucking sucks.
It does fucking suck so much. I really do despise what is happening. And I really do think about how this show is... we talked a little bit about like the imperfectness of trans media at the moment, and how this is not exactly like a fun, cheery trans show. And I can't at the human level, I just feel like I just know with 100% certainty it does not have to be this way. Mm-hmm. It really is just the fucked up mind of literally a couple 100,000 people with a lot of power and a lot of money and a lot of institutional capture that is just causing this. And this show is not gonna I think it's not going to break the facade within a transphobe to humanize a trans person. And I don't know when the imperfectness of trans media is gonna become perfect, but I know I want to be there. I want to be there in my lifetime.
Yeah, it's interesting because this show was really popular in Spain, and it came out in 2020. It didn't come out all at once because of the pandemic, and enough anticipation was built by the time they released episode 3 that they released it in theaters, and it was the #1 show in the country. Or, yeah, #1 movie, because they treated it like a movie. And, that gives me some hope that, like, trans stories can be viewed by a lot of people. And trans stories that aren't just, our favorite trans Oscar nominees of the last year. But, yeah, it's like fascism is still on the rise.
It's already here, sister.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know, like, the first episode is called Crossing the Mississippi.
Uh-huh.
And all I could think about is, are we crossing the Mississippi or are we crossing the Rubicon?
Uh-huh.
Like, it's already here. And, like, although this is a show about Spanish people, like, I can't help but see the intersection of, like, Spanish speakers and transness in 2025, and understand that those folks that I hold a lot of love for are on the chopping block.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't want to, like, hit on this too much. It just sucks. It sucks so much, fucking asshole.
Yeah.
That we are recording this past after ICE got $150 billion in this congressional reconciliation budget that passed that was signed into law on July 4th, 2025. And $45 billion of that is for concentration camps here in the United States. Some that already exist here in Illinois. And all I can think about is just, $45 billion. Oh, okay, so that's probably a handful of other ones here in Illinois or Wisconsin or Indiana. They can be popped up. And it blows. It blows, it pisses me off, and it fucking blows.
Yeah. The amount of money that's being put into ICE is, like, ridiculous. And I hope that something, obviously protests have been like here in Illinois, like, Know Your Rights, like, canvases have been successful. There have been successful like, actions in order to free people from ICE. But at the same time, like, things are, like, with all that money, it definitely scares me. Like, yes, Chicago has, like, a really good organizing culture, and a lot of people are on immigrant defense. But yeah, it's definitely hard not to be doomer right now.
I've never been thanked more for canvassing than I have passing out Know Your Rights information when it comes to immigration and how to deal with immigration law enforcement. Like, people at businesses, managers at businesses are thanking me for giving that information. And the people that I've done it with are also like, this is the most positive reception to any canvassing we've done. And that, to me, it just shows how widespread this distaste for what's happening is.
Yeah. Which, like, is a reason for hope in that, like, even if, like, some of these CNN polls are like 54% of people support ICE, like, the vast majority of people are not for this shit. Like, they don't want to see their neighbors get kidnapped. They don't want to see, and yeah.
I think one of the issues that I had with this show is that this show is effectively social murder the show.
Uh-huh.
Where as society, all the way from the political administration, the governmental administration, to the individual nuclear family, abuses and neglects and pushes away people into the corner of society where they have no choice but to die from 1,000 cuts up until they cut their own selves out of existence. And all I could think of, well, as I was watching this, I was thinking about how we live now where that social murder will soon be genocide.
We've got social murder at home, I say with the saddest face ever. Yeah, the genocide is coming home. They first said that they did it in Palestine, and now they're going to do it to us.
I do want to thank you though for presenting me this show.
Yeah.
I really care about you as my trans sister. And all this trans media that I have been consuming the last couple of weeks has just really it showed me that even though that I'm around trans people and there's this love that I have and this allyship that I aim to promote, there's an infinity to transness that I will never understand, and the more insight I have, the more that infinity proves to be charming and beautiful and brave and exciting and tragic, all bound in one. And this show is not perfect, but I'm happy that you presented it to me. It's giving me more to chew on with me and all my trans friends.
Yeah, thank you, and shout out to trans friend K-Bell for recommending it to me, which happened at a queer party during Pride Month, which feels 100% right. This is a good transition for Hopecast because every episode we share something that's giving us a little bit of hope in this dreary world. And I think we really need it this week. So what's giving me hope now is my queer friends. And I think this isn't the first time that that's been my Hopecast, but the great thing about friendship is that over time, you get reminded over and over again why you love your friends, why they're so important to you, the joy that you get from them. And that's been happening recently for me. I think that I love spending time with my friends. I love, it's something that can be easy to take for granted. That I have friends who love me and share that love with me publicly, and really it's hard to put into words why queer friendship is so important. And I think it kind of gets to the show where by the end of it, Valeria is going on the news and being like, we are La Veneno's family. We are the people who she cared about. This other family, yeah, they were important to her, but we need to honor the family that Veneno made, when she was actually fully herself. And I love my family, my blood family too. But I also really treasure the queer family that I have here in Chicago, and that gives me hope.
Nice. That is that's a big one. This is something that I really hold deep. This process of mine of removing the cis heteronormativity from within my brain down to my spinal column, and the queer friendships that I have are beautiful. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
My Hopecast is honestly, I want to put two down here. I want to start by saying I love the music of Alexis Mygler, a Mexican trans musician, an artist, and drag performer. She was on RuPaul's Drag Race Mexico season 6, which I will not be watching. I haven't seen Drag Race in forever, but I don't really have the time. But her music is great. I've been listening to a lot of it. Right now, I'm gonna link a song called La Cumbia del Transversty, which is nice because that's like language we learned last year with Las Malas. And it's nice that like Camilla Sosa's words, that word has it's a legacy. It continues to be true, continues to be international, and that's beautiful. My hope cast though is my real hope cast is it's a little difficult because it has to do with this reconciliation bill. $150 billion to the Gestapo should provide you some sense of hope. Because that means that this state believes it needs to spend $150 billion more to combat the increasing class consciousness that is happening right now.
That's right.
To combat the pro-Palestinian movement that it continues to grow. To combat the pleasure that comes with knowing that immigrants, your neighbors, your family are here for you and you are here for them. This state understands very well that the only way it can gut and pilfer every possible angle of this nation is by force. And it's their own buffoonery, their own lack of analysis that will bring them down. You cannot put a gun to the head of every kind-hearted person in this country and get your way. It's not possible. It's never been possible and it never will be possible. There is not enough of them. There is not enough bosses. There's not enough of people with guns and hatred in their heart to keep us all down. And it's their declaration that they're afraid of us. Those that care and those that want equality. It's their declaration that they're afraid of us.
Wow. I love that. Very, very eloquently said.
Well, thank you so much for listening to Dove Weather.
Yeah, feel free to give us a review. Give us those 5 stars that we deserve.
Like us on YouTube. Follow us on Spotify, Instagram, Bluesky, TikTok. Did someone say TikTok?
I think someone did say TikTok at one point.
At Dove Weather everywhere.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.